talked about this network of friends and people that we know. It is as simple as saying, are you interested? And if you are, Julius at Marriott, Warren at Hilton, Evans, Renee, all of us will help you, including Kevin Hicks, who's in the franchise business, will help you get into this business. Real easy. When we talk about commitment, Norm's previous boss was a guy named Steve Joyce at Choice Hotels. Steve Joyce is now the president of Choice Hotels, but when we first, I think our first check we got from Marriott was Steve Joyce, you, Ken Farron, and I think Tom Baltimore taking a picture in front of Marriott Hotel. That shows you commitment. So he took that same commitment from Marriott and kept running, because when Evans wanted a deal, he was there. So this industry is better than anyone. By the way, you go anywhere in the world and do it. When I travel and go on holiday with Bernard, we'll be in Anguilla looking at deals. Bernard likes to buy watches. I can't afford this type of watches, so I go and I look at the dirt and try to get his money. So when Norm and I were talking with Keith last night, we said to Keith, you've got to be in our industry. Keith, you ready? I can't hear you. Yeah. You know, all the contacts that you have, you've got to meet each other. Any more questions? One in the corner?
Yes, man. There's providence in this individual leading this organization, because nobody could lead this organization the way that Andy Ingram led this organization. I used to call him. I'll be brief and sit down. I used to call him a casual brother. What I meant by that is Andy does not hesitate to call you out about anything. That worked well for this organization. That worked well for the brothers and sisters who came together, Tom Baltimore, Norm, and so many others in this room today. This is a magnificent organization that changed this industry, and I hope that you all come and join and support. I'm out of the industry, but whatever I can do to help you folks, you know where to find me, Andy.
Thank you, Floyd. Hey, Chris, we need to get some of your investments to put in our industry.
I always had an interest in hospitality, and so I started doing my research, and the first thing I came upon was actually an article about Don Peoples and Napa. And I was down in Miami, close to Miami, and the conference was in a week. And I said, I'm going. So I went. I didn't know anybody. No one at a black conference did I know. I was like, this is ridiculous. But they were talking about hotel ownership, and I went there to think about, okay, I want to work in a hotel. I might want to be a GM, something like that. And they're talking about ownership, and I'm like, these people are crazy. There's no way I could own a hotel. But I was so intrigued, and I've been coming to the conference just about every year since then. I actually work in the hospitality industry now, but I don't work for myself yet. But I'm looking to do that. I'm looking to invest and partner, and listening to Evans year over year, and all the panelists, I know I can do it with partners, and now I'm ready to do it. So that's what I'm looking to do now, get into a partnership and then own my own.
Tell me your name first.
Alonzo Bailey. And acquiring the property, was it the partner that helped you with the bonding, or you were able to gain bonding yourself?
It was an acquisition.
Okay.
Yeah. So there wasn't an insurance bond. So, but are you mostly referring to the capital? How we?
No, I thought it was more of a development. I didn't know if it was an acquisition or it was more of a development.
Yeah, no, it was an acquisition.
Okay.
But the next one,
The one you're working on now.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a function of the contractors and the GC that we hire. So, we would have them provide, the insurance part. So.
And I can speak to
No,
that.
you want to go ahead.
I can speak a little bit more to that. Big franchising companies require franchisees to have appropriate insurance for contractors and builders. As part of Build in America, we all have programs that help bridge that insurance requirements. So we we globally contract with different companies and we offer you solutions if you don't have them, but usually you pass on that to the GC in order for them to meet the requirements. But there are programs available for you to meet as a global chain. I mean, between Marriott and us, we have 8,000 hotels. They all have been built or refurbished, so we have a bunch of leverage, including, of course, Choice and IHG. We have a bunch of leverage with the insurance companies to make sure that you can obtain reasonable commercial insurance.
Perfect. Kevin, you have
Thanks, Kevin. Very well. Yeah, so our strategy, and it's Kevin's strategy, a lot of our strategies are, we like, first and foremost, you know, we all love staying in luxury hotels, we all love staying in seaside resorts, golf courses, etc. But that's not the business we're in. We don't want to own it. And I don't think Evans has said the same thing. We're partners on several deals. We don't want to own them. We want to stay there, but not own them. The hotels that we really cover are the ones that, you know, may lack some sex appeal, but you know, it's Courtyard, it's Residence Inn, it's Homewood Suites, it's DoubleTree. We really want to own those hotels that sort of sit in the middle, and they resonate with probably more customers. Then in terms of locations, we really want to own those hotels where people have to be or need to be to conduct their business, as opposed to hotels that are more optional and discretionary. So we like state capitals. Why do we like state capitals? State capitals generate room nights. And by the way, the state capitals don't move very often. So if you go into Austin, you can bank that it's going to be there. Similarly, universities are significant generators of demand. So not only people who are coming there for interviews or parents' weekends, sporting events, universities that have large sports teams, medical centers, we like those as well. So college towns, state capitals, areas that are supportive of large medical hubs. We own a hotel in Birmingham. It's on the campus, but also Birmingham is a large hub for medical services. So you have a heart institute, a diabetes institute, 4 hospitals, a couple of teaching hospitals. Again, they're not gonna, those big installations are not going to move very often. So these hotels don't necessarily scream that, hey, this is a wonderful market to be in. But regardless of the economic cycle, people are going to show up at those hotels, and that's why we continue to invest our capital in markets such as that.
We have a question.
Legislators, the focus is always as legislators and public servants on social justice, criminal justice, but never on economic development. And for the 2 years that I've been president of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, my focus has been on building wealth in the African American community. And I say the same thing for mayors, because we're always concerned about how we fix problems in our city, never how we generate an economic economy, and how do we partner with the private sector. I started out as a banker and as a business person, so I get that. But I can tell you that most of our leaders around the country don't get that. And it has been a daunting task over the last 2 years of just whipping folks over the head about the importance of building wealth in the African American community and what a difference that will make if we get it as legislative leaders and as mayors in this nation.
And that's and outside the country on how we can partner. So for us, building wealth is extremely critical. The next generation of African Americans will have to start not where the last generation started, but probably the last generation finished. I know we had another question. Go ahead.
Everybody's been pointing out Keith Cleanscales, and I have to point him out again. As a young person, and I saw 2 of my former bosses here, trying to figure out my career, Curtis Simons, who just left from BET, but when I couldn't figure out what to do, Keith Cleanscales opened his door and said, let's figure out, you know, what are your next steps going to be. Iron sharpens iron, so we must support, empower, and sharpen one another. I prefer that verse from Proverbs 27 as opposed to grinding. And that's what you all are doing here, and don't forget that. So because Keith opened his door, I have the privilege to sit with Dr. Rosalind Artis as she opens her door to your next generation of owners, wealth managers. Those students are coming with different challenges. Don't forget that. It's difficult for them to get through college now because of the restrictions on financial aid. This woman opens her door, and I have the privilege of walking that walk when they're saying, I'm working 2 jobs, I have 12 credits, but I don't have $500 to get to class. So let's let that investment continue on through our next generations and continue sharpening iron and continue Andy's words of empowering our next generation and mentoring them.
We're going to ask you to keep your comments.
We met a young man at last year's NAPA conference. He had completed a stint in the Air Force, and he was now going back to school as a reservist. 2 years of undergrad, sort of making progress towards his undergraduate degree. And he just a nice kid. I enjoyed spending time with him. And he just sort of stayed in touch, It's Mr. Jenkins, Happy Father's Day, Happy Thanksgiving. Just kind of stayed in touch. And, always had exchanged nice pleasantries. And then he eventually said, Mr. Jenkins, what I really want to do is get into the business. And I want to own hotels. Tell me what I need to do as a 20-something-year-old to get into the business. I said, well, my recommendation for you would be to get some hotel experience. And he said, that's great, but I just don't know how to get there. I don't know how to get out of the park. So talked to Andy. I immediately picked up the phone of 2 of our operators and called the CEO, and I said, look, you're doing work for us. I have a young man who has an earnest desire to get into this business. And within 3 days, he had offers from one of our hotels as well as a neighboring hotel. He actually elected to work at not our hotel, but a different hotel. And this kid is doing wonderful. I mean, he still texts me weekly, but he's been sort of the guy who's getting all the positive guest feedback. He's been promoted a couple of times, and all he needed was an opportunity. There's no doubt in my mind that this kid he's going to finish his degree, I guess, in a year. He's going to be a young general manager. He's going to move through the organization, and he's going to own a hotel. Not a doubt in my mind. And those are the things we need to do more of. This organization, and Andy has an initiative to work on that. But that's just a small piece of what we're doing, and we're going to do more of it.
With bringing a new sense of empowerment and focusing on a sector that, quite frankly, is a sector that has been alien to African American investment is nothing short of extraordinary. And given that he's from the Bahamas and I'm from the Bahamas, I'm very proud of him and the work that he's doing, and I will always continue to support it. The second thing is the kind of work we do at the Inter-American Development Bank. And you promised me $100. That's just a dollar. The second point I wanted to make is the work we do at the Inter-American Development Bank is multilateral financing for socioeconomic development in countries outside of the United States. And we cover the region from Argentina in the south all the way up to Canada in the north. But my particular area of focus is on the Caribbean. And what we do is we take economic investment and we transform communities. We focus on diversity, we focus on gender, we focus on trying to solve inequity and poverty. So in the case of the Marriott deal, where we committed $150 million to fund 10 hotels in Central America and the Caribbean, the Jamaican deal was one that I'm particularly proud of. So everybody knows Jamaica can use hotels because it has good tourists, but the city of Kingston really hadn't had a new hotel in 10 years. And it hadn't had a really good brand like Marriott. So we came together with Marriott, and we came together with the Jamaican government, which at that time was on an IMF program. And we say, okay, we'll invest in a hotel in Kingston, but what we will do in this hotel is we'll make it a transformative experiment. So the first thing we did with Marriott is we said to build this hotel, and the government is providing part of the land with the private sector doing some financing. 25% of all of the workers must be males who come from parts where they may have gone to jail or they're ex-cons. The second thing was when the hotel was near completion, we say none of these males would be laid off. They would be trained to become maintenance people, waiters, waitresses, and they would work in the hotel. And then the last thing we said is at the end of this project, 100% of all of the people in the hotel, including the general manager, within 9 months, would be Jamaican. So Andy met a nice young lady who was working at a hotel down there. She was only about 25. And fast forward, well, I know. That's usually the kind of ladies who Andy meets, right? I know, I see the look on your face. Fast forward to where we are now. What we have is we have a Courtyard Marriott open in Jamaica, over 200 Jamaicans employed, and the last general manager, who was from the Netherlands, he has left and has now been replaced by a 29-year-old female. And the gender set in the hotel is at 62%. The young males who were at risk, who work in the hotel, they ain't robbing and raping and selling drugs. They are running that hotel, is at the 32% set. And we have a successful property where Jamaicans are employed. That's the kind of work we do.
Hold on a second. We're gonna run out of time, but folks are gonna stand around, but
We're open, the Beltway is a treacherous place. Hilton, Marriott, all of the companies, and I'm not going to talk about our competitors, but I think this is not a second thought to any of us, so I'm going to break the screw for every one of us. This is not a second thought. We are diversity. Diversity means something to each and one of us, but please do come talk to us. Come to our seminars, come to Napa. Give us a call, give Andy a call. He's happy to call me at 10 p.m. on a Sunday to ask me for something while I'm watching Game of Thrones. I'm happy to take that call. But please come and talk to us. There's no stupid questions. There's always a good question. There's always somebody that we can connect you to, even if it's with Evans Charles or with somebody else. Come to us, talk to us, try to get into this industry. It's fascinating.
Evans?
One of the things that Omari said when he was giving his introduction, I like this, is really focus on intellectual capital. I mean, gain as much knowledge as you can about the industry. One of the ways to really catapult your understanding of the industry is to partner with one of the competitors here. Get into a deal, see the financials, understand how someone who is a sponsor leads a deal, structures a deal, instead of jumping out here on your own. And you can, because I did it, but it's capital intensive, and you can easily make a mistake and lose a lot of money if you do not do this the right way. So educate yourself, surround yourself with people who understand the business. And a lot of times we put in egos because we're successful in other industries, and we think that because we're consumers of hotels, we know how it should work. Leave your ego at the door, humble yourself, and surround yourself with people who really understand.
Now we're going to skip you for a second. I'm going to come back to you last. I'm going to go to Norm first. Norm?
These are final comments?
Final.
Goodbye.
Thanks for coming. Andy's done a fantastic job. Privileged to sit with all these wonderful panelists. And I assume you're going to take care of the mayor. These public officials, they're an integral part of the development and ownership process. So let's participate in this thing.
I am.
Okay.
I'll get April right in the back there. So.
Julie?
You yield the salt.
Yes, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier about working together and cooperating and partnering. I can't emphasize that enough. I think the reason why Neighborhood and Andy has been so successful is because he supports everybody, and he encourages everybody to work together and support one another. And I think we don't do that enough in this industry. We shouldn't be competing with one another, although there is some competition there, we understand that. But we need to support one another. We need to be there, have each other's back. So I would like to see more partnering, more support. That's what we do at Black Media and Tourism, and we like to see everybody else do the same thing.
Yeah, so I got to support because I don't, as an immigrant, Trump may deport me. So.
I just wanted to add, Andy mentioned my day job is at Millennium Hotels, but my night job and every other time job is consulting for women and minorities to get into this business. So in the 6 months that I've kept this going, what I found out is to go towards Evan's comment about partnering and Saul's about putting us together. There's enough of us with the money, there's enough with the intellectual capital, there's enough with land and opportunity, but we don't have honest conversations about money. It's not part of our community's fabric to talk about salary and your goals. You know, goals about I should save more money or I should stop shopping, but like really down to the penny of what I'm trying to do, what time frame, what I have to offer, and how we can help. If we don't have honest conversations, we can't do any of this.
I tell my wife to stop shopping all the time.
Real quick, a crucial part of your structuring your team is, we didn't cover this, is sourcing the deal. Where do you find out about hotels for sale or land for sale to actually do a development? That's what I do as a hotel broker. That was a smooth plug. I'm out.
Is hot, both international and domestic. In terms of, research that you might need on the topic to justify traveler spend, what's happening in a destination where you want to invest, we can get your research on that.
And Laura and I are committed to working on that study. I probably talked with her more than I want to in some cases about when we're going to get it started. But what is so critical is that we have the right partnership. And because when we look at people like Marcus, and if guys, if you look around the room, in our industry, we buy everything. We have a partner at Marriott called Avendra. Last year, Avendra purchased some $4.6